Hello, I am Mayor Watt. I'm the mayor of ohmTown. That's that site right there. Well, I really kind of hit that out of the park right off the base. I'm not showing the site. Anyway, that's ohmTown right there. Aggregates news into 6 categories. Today's going to be a really short day for the news. It's usually a slow news day on Sunday, and then Monday it's just a massive influx of news. I ran the show late yesterday, and that resulted in kind of a constrained number of articles that I wanted to even talk about. Much of the news is talking about the event that took place in Texas. Won't even get into it, but uh, I've got a bunch of news. I don't think anything really relates to that. Um, but again, today's show is going to be really short, so let's get into it. The very first article is about Top Gun Maverick. And just, I don't know if I should even edit this. Uh, Today's episode is for May 29th, 2022. It's episode 149. I've done a show every single day since the beginning of the year. I started the show at the beginning of the year. So if this is your first episode that you're seeing or hearing, I apologize for it being really short, but I've got other things that I need to do, unfortunately, and that means that I've got to run. So, like I've been saying for the last 2 weeks, it's tough being mayor. But this article, the first of the I think about 10 that I've got, is about Top Gun Maverick. Not all of them are about Top Gun Maverick, but the continuity report is a show that is about movies. And I want to bring it to Twitch. I'm trying to figure out a way that we can do movie night essentially, and then talk about the movie and the 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 domain of movie entertainment, what the continuity report really is. The movies have a continuity report, but yeah, I guess I could keep on rambling, but let's just visit the source. The article is variety.com. It was aggregated into ohmTown. The article's by Rebecca Rubin, and it's basically Top Gun Maverick just crushing it. $124 million in its opening weekend. Pretty amazing, and it's not even over yet. So it's here in the States. We have a holiday on Monday, and so I'm reading the article real quick while I'm talking. But let's see here. $124 million makes it. I think it makes Tom Cruise's best movie ever. I think. Let's see. Pulled in blockbuster ticket sales on its opening weekend, collecting 134 million from a record 4732. North American cinemas. Paramount and Skydance's All-American Action Adventure is expected to collect 151 million through Monday, defying expectations, while also looking to set a new high watermark for Memorial Day weekend. Perfect timing to release a movie like this, considering it's Memorial Day and almost 2.5 years of pent up movie desire. I mean, people want to go out and watch movies. I still don't think that it is ever really going to recover. People know what it's like to be able to just, get their drinks and food and whatever and sit at home, invite some friends over if they want to, whatever the case may be. I could be wholeheartedly wrong, but anyway, at the international box office, the sequel to 1986's Top Gun Took flight with 124 million, an impressive sum since the movie isn't playing in key territories, China and Russia. In total, Top Gun Maverick has grossed 248 million worldwide. Yeah, that's a lot of money. Maybe not for studios, but pretty amazing. Stellar box office streak for Paramount, marking the studio's 5th movie this year to open in first place. Without the assistance of comic books or raging dinosaurs, the studio's 2022 slate, also consisting of Sonic the Hedgehog, which was 182 million in North America, The Lost City, 102 million in North America, Scream, which got 81 million in North America, and Jackass Forever, which got 57 million. I can't believe Sonic the Hedgehog got 182 million in North America. Anyway, Chris Pratt's The Tomorrow War director, Aaron Sorkin's The Trial of Chicago 7, Eddie Murphy's Coming to America to streaming services. Yeah, interesting. And people are going to be subscribing to Paramount Plus because that's where you get to see all of this stuff. When it gets released to streaming services, it's going to be there first, pretty much without a doubt. It has a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes and a rare A+ at CinemaScore. So it says despite countless delays, the Top Gun sequel was scheduled to open in the summer of 2020 until COVID-19 scrambled those plans. Lots of puns. Cruise was adamant that Maverick not follow in the footsteps of those straight-to-streaming films. The 2-year wait was already started to pay off since the film has been rapturously reviewed. Rapturously. Cool. Well, regardless, people are going to go watch it, streaming or otherwise, but I guess here you go. Now people are going to go watch it in the movie theaters because they wanted to go out, and now they'll be buying it as well. So I guess it's a nice little double dip there. The next article is in the Smack Talk channel. You know what I didn't do? I didn't do it. Oh, I didn't put my chat on for me to post the links. So let me go back real quick and I'll post the links in chat. And we'll keep on moving forward here. This next article is in the Smack Talk channel, which is about Apple. And trademark for RealityOS points to VR AR at Worldwide Developers Conference. The trademark for RealityOS has been discovered, a filing that could mean WWDC 2022 will see the launch of Apple's VR and AR platform, renders of Apple Glass and a mixed reality headset. Let's click the link. If this gets released, I'd be surprised if it's released this year. They might talk about it, saying that's what they're working on, which I'm not a fan of Apple doing. I'd rather them just drop the item without all the hype, because the hype will come quick. There's no messaging involved here. Apple is so amazing in its culture and its financial ecosystem that when a new product drops, even if it was stealth, it would be spectacularly received. And word of mouth and the messaging system that is online media, it would be running everywhere. People would be talking about it if it was adequately stealth. No hype. There, various reporters are always talking about Apple and talking about the rumors. And even this is a rumor. This is over at appleinsider.com, and it's by Malcolm Owen. They even talk about it. Apple has been rumored to be working on a VR and AR headset, or AR headset. I hope that it's AR and not VR. Maybe 2 different devices. I would rather it be 2 different devices. But there is some really new tech coming out. Ultra high definition, high resolution screens that are 3 times the resolution of the screens that are out here now in use. A spectacular increase. And that is the type of revolutionary technology that I think needs to kind of leapfrog over this drip of technology. Even if you're a one-hit wonder of a company and that one hit is a massive leap in technology, do that leapfrog for us and force the hand of everybody to have to develop faster, in benefiting the consumer. And you'll go down in history as somebody that changed the world. In a patent filing uncovered on Sunday, it seems that the software side of the device is becoming more real. Yep, I just want it wireless and I want high resolution, fast. Yep, we'll see. The listings are both registered by RealityOS, I guess, Systems LLC, which incorporated in the state of Delaware in December 3rd, 2021 via the Corporation Trust Company, which provides registered agent services. So basically, they are the point of contact for RealityOS systems. Okay, well, we'll see. WWDC is right around the corner, so we should be able to see this convert pretty quick. And I hope, again, that it's AR, and I'll be buying those glasses. Unfortunately, I wear prescription glasses for reading, but hopefully it's not a wildly expensive upgrade. This next article is these folding shipping containers could help solve the supply chain crisis. A startup out of New Jersey has designed shipping containers that can fold like an accordion. The containers could help solve congestion at ports and shipping yards. In the U.S., log jams at the largest U.S. ports have receded but remain above pre-pandemic levels. A startup based in New Jersey thinks it may have a solution for this. So basically collapses to fit the requirements. That way you don't have half a 40-foot container sitting there with materials. You can put more in there. Now, the integrity of these things, we'll see if they can take a beating. I'm sure they've tried it. But this article is over at Business Insider. And it's by Grace K. Let's see. I don't know if there's much more to it, but that's what it looks like. Staxon is planning to sell shipping containers that can fold accordion style and shrink about 1/5 the size of a typical 20-foot or 40-foot container. The company said it plans to begin commercial manufacturing within the year and already has an option for buyers to pre-order the invention with a $100 deposit per container. So yeah, if it takes up less space when it's empty, it's a win. Now, if they could make a modular that so people can get smaller containers, there are smaller containers, but make it so that you can slice a container into half or thirds so that you can do both the folding and consuming as much as needed instead of a 40 or 20-foot container. That would be great too. So if Staxon's design is adopted by major carriers, it could represent one of the first updates to shipping containers in decades. The first container was patented in 1956 by Malcolm McLean, the owner of one of the largest trucking companies in the U.S. Shortly after, the International Maritime Organization standardized the containers, which is a win for everybody and mostly for McLean. You can actually buy these containers and make tiny homes out of them. You just have to seal them up right, make sure that their integrity is sound, start plasma cutting holes in it, and off you go. It's about $5,000 a container for a used one. And depending what was in it, maybe even cheaper. I don't know. The ones that I've looked at, because I wanted to build at one point a container home, and just never. When you're not doing it yourself, it becomes quite a bit more expensive, obviously, but you get professional quality. that accounts for a lot more. You hire an architect and design your way around problems. So let's continue on. Like I said, today's going to be really, really, really short day. I only have about 10 articles. The next article is in the Hatch Ideas channel. It was aggregated from Business Insider, and it's titled Corporate America's Advice to College Grads: Choose Your First Employer Wisely. Let me just click the link and take us over to Business Insider as well. Ebony Flake, Reed Alexander, I think it's Josie Rose, and Tim Paradise are the authors of this article. It says, C-suite executives advise new grads to consider more than earning potential when choosing their first role. It's commencement time, and college graduates are entering a competitive job market as U.S. employers are hiring 31.6% more graduates compared with last year, and paying them 2.5% more than starting salaries for hires from the class of 2021. And man, that just drives people nuts when somebody comes on later and is making more than them, even though they've got a year at least of seniority. And the pay bump sometimes doesn't actually move along. It doesn't go back in time to fix the inequality. The market gives the class of 2022 the advantage of a plethora of employment choices and higher career earning trajectory. However, C-suite executives advise new grads to consider more than just earning potential when choosing their first role. And some people basically offer up their advice. So Tim Ryan, U.S. chairman and senior partner at PwC, second largest professional services network. Align your values with your employer. We know money matters, but look at the company's reputation. Look at their culture. Look at how they stand by people. Yeah. That's all part of earning potential too. If they don't stand by people, or if they offer, weak salary, they're not standing by people. It's one and the same there. How did they react to the financial crisis? How did they react to the pandemic? How are they reacting now? Yeah. Advice for long-term success. That is so personal that I couldn't even begin to give advice about that. Because depending on where you go, I mean, you could start out with offers for 6 digits, and then because the domain makes you feel miserable, you move on. And you don't necessarily know that until years later. Says the second piece of advice is don't just put out problems, point out solutions and be part of the solution. Yeah, that's usually true. When all you do is point out what the problem is and don't offer up any advice, really it's just complaint. And sometimes you're told that you need to stay in your swim lane when you point out a problem, even when you do offer up a possible solution, because some bosses just think that, well, it's not their idea, so it's got to be wrong. Don't forget your personal life. Got it. Prioritize your development. Align your values with your employer. True. If you don't value, and a lot of businesses are run by people that may have different political or even fiscal goals. It's usually fiscal in nature, but if they don't have the same alignment as you do, then you working for a company, regardless of how much money, you are empowering the people that are running that business to speak on your behalf in political context, because they donate money to political campaigns that might not be in your interest. It's one of the reasons why I'm not really fond of Citizens United. Choose the right company. Some years ago, the author of this section, Nancy Hogg, I think, or Hogue, Chief People Experience Officer at Automation Anywhere, which actually that's going to come into play with another article that I selected today. So they write, some years ago, they read a study on the presidents of the United States. They'd been asked through the ages, who's the most influential person in your life? Of course, the number one answer is always their mother. The second one, though, is their first employer, and that's profound. Yeah, I suppose so. And I guess you have to ask certain people what their first employer is as to how they were impacted. So not everybody is working for a $1 trillion company as their first employer. Find your passion, prioritize your development. Don't forget your personal life. There's another one. Don't forget your personal life. So, and that happens quite a bit. This idea of work-life balance and prioritizing your personal life, or I should say, don't forget your personal life. Others in this article said the same thing, and I've said the same thing, that your work-life balance is really imperative. You can make a ton of money, but if you don't actually get to live to enjoy it, what's the point of all of that money? And the messaging to yourself when you're working for somebody and you don't like what they are doing with all of the work product that you're offering. Are you really a happy employee? Well, most employers will just fire you and not be wounded by that. They'll find somebody else to replace you. We've built a culture of that. Zero loyalty between employee and employer, and the other way around is even less. Employer doesn't really so much care about you. So much to the point that there's apparatus in place, or apparati in place, where the objective is to protect the enterprise from your shenanigans, even if your shenanigans are part of the processes of the enterprise. Even the way you speak out or speak up about something that isn't even related to the business. Like I spoke about this Amber Heard thing yesterday, and going back over it in my head, I'm like, I just know that there could be something in there that somebody can pull out and kind of flame me about, because instead of listening to the whole context of it, having a conversation about maybe some missing information that maybe I just assumed people would know, it could come back and bite you, because they can go to your employer, and anybody that puts their face out there and their name out there and their location out there, you can be doxxed pretty darn easy. But I just think that you as employees and your employers really need to have greater respect for each other. Mainly because over the last 40 years, we've really bred into our working identity that we can quit anytime and you can fire us anytime, and there's zero loyalty either way. And to me, it's kind of disturbing. But let's continue on. I won't harp on any one thing too long today. The next article is a buying guide: 6 cool mechanical chronographs that don't cost a fortune. Now, money is very subjective, and a fortune could be $200. They say chronograph movements are found all over the spectrum of the industry, from affordable quartz plastic watches priced below 200 euros. Okay, affordable quartz plastic watches below $200, 200 euro, sorry, is not costing a fortune. That kind of screams fortune to me. To the very top of the range, where the sky is the limit, and yes, it is, in the millions of dollars. Pardon me one second. Haven't had enough water today, so scratchy throat. Anyway, let's click the link. Takes us over to monochrome-watches.com, or just monochrome. And this is an article by Bryce Gouliard. This is a nice watch. So here are some 6 watches, and I won't read all of the details of it, but it's the Alpiner for chronograph 2022. It says this no date sporty bi-compact chronograph is all about adventure and retails for 2,800 euro. That is a fortune for many. But it's a pretty watch. Looks pretty neat. No date window, which is great. D-Pencil Series A. It might be Series A. No, it is Series A. Allure chronograph. Looks much like the one that we just looked at from Alpina. Hamilton Khaki Pilot Pioneer mechanical chronograph. That too looks almost identical. Well, I mean, it's got different. There's some subtle differences. That last watch was €2,000, €2,000. This one is €2,000. Oops. The Longines, I guess it is. It's Longines? No. Longines? Spirit Pioneer. I don't know how to pronounce these watches. It's amazing. I'm fascinated with I'll have to just learn this stuff more. You can learn with me. Spirit Pioneer titanium chronograph. So is it Longines or Longines? Anyway, €3,800. So are these reasonably priced to you? Are these not costing a fortune? Is that? This one's really neat. It has kind of fluorescent green lettering and arms. A Tissot PRX chronograph automatic for $1,800. And the Totoni Heritage Bicompax chronograph. That one's pretty neat, but it has a date window right there in the dead center of that movement. So not a big fan, but I like the back. The case back is pretty neat. At any rate, that one is €2,220. All of these are really expensive to me, but I'm into watches, but I'm not a watch owner. But still, a lot of beautiful industrial design. So let's continue on. One of the ones that I wanted to speak about and kind of soapbox about, I suppose, is this one here. Baby formula made from Australian goats and grass-fed cows flown to U.S. to battle shortages. 1.2 million cans of formula made from goat and cow milk will be shipped from Australia, the FDA said. The cans will be enough to make 27.5 million 8-ounce bottles. The FDA has increased flexibility on its rules to allow more baby formula to be imported. The U.S. is flying in millions. So my problem here, I love that everybody is able to provide for domestic consumption here in the States. My problem still is that one company had to shut down one production facility, and that cost 25%, a full 1/4 of the entirety of the baby formula process out to shelves, right? So 25% cut off, punk, because one company had to shut down one production facility. To me, it is beyond absurd, and it needs to be balkanized. It needs to be more competitive. It needs to be impossible to shut down 25% of baby formula from being made and sent to retail channels. And if this is about oversight and whatever else, and it's really expensive and whatever else, more people need to get involved in this and find a solution, because it is absurd that one company can do something that, whatever the cost was, they're not losing money on making baby formula. In fact, it's pretty darn expensive. So why isn't there more production? That I'm nearly apoplectic about it. I'm at a loss for words. We have to rely on other countries now to provide our babies with formula because one company had bacteria or something in its production facility, and that had it shut down, according to the articles that I've been reading. So why did that take place? All right. Well, let's click this link. And the article's over at Business Insider by Ryan Hogg. In the stores that I went to, it looked much like the picture here in on the article at businessinsider.com. Just it was a ghost town. It was like the pandemic had kicked off, and all of the paper towels and toilet paper disappeared off the shelves, and people were buying it by the truckload, forklifting flat, you know, um, flats of baby formula into their trucks. I mean, it's absurd that this is taking place. Absurd. Meanwhile, you have uh, senators and representatives saying no to policy and procedure that would mitigate this and offer assistance to the people that need, save the babies, but then screw them when it comes to getting food. It's just ridiculous, just ridiculous. Okay, well, I'm not going to stick with it. I'm going to keep on going. I want you to go and read the news. You can follow the links, show notes, etc. Tabletop Nights is where this next article is. Kuro Game announces open world RPG Wuthering Waves. Developer Kuro Game has announced it is working on an open world action RPG titled Wuthering Waves. The game is still in early development, but the studio has released a handful of cinematic and gameplay trailers. The game's official site also features some information and a few downloadable assets. So I'm going to take you over to it's rpgamer.com, and they basically say they say more, but they have links to the material, and it looks like it's kind of like Genshin Impact, except that it's called Wuthering Waves, and you might like it. So go over and check it out. It looks like Genshin Impact, but I'm sure with a different story. But not much information is there, so go check it out. We'll watch it, and we'll probably end up playing it. Again, I'm hoping that I can stream longer, but probably tomorrow. I'll just get into the rhythm of streaming for 6 hours, and I'll start probably at 10 o'clock tomorrow. I know I have some appointments that I'll have to break for, and then I'll come back and I'll start it all up again. But yeah, robot orders increase 40% in first quarter as desperate employers seek relief from labor shortages, report says. This is in the Hatch Ideas channel. This is something that I've been talking about. I've been telling customers and the people that I speak to on the daily. It's always different people. I don't know how to describe what I do without giving it all away, but and I don't want to do that. I want it to be a bit more of a mystery, but robot orders increased 40% for the first quarter 2022, as businesses seek solutions to the labor crisis. The robot industry is now valued at $1.6 billion. It really should be the robot business in terms of value should be dramatically higher than 1.6 billion. But anyway, it says the robot industry is now valued at 1.6 billion, according to the Wall Street Journal. Automation may provide a temporary salve, but some are concerned it will displace human workers as the shortage eases. No, technology is basically the solution to society's day-to-day grind. To sit there and say, robots are taking our jobs, it's absurd. Robots should be taking jobs. Robots should be replacing humans so that humans have a better work-life balance. Putting humans to work instead of robots is nothing short of it's busy work. It's just to keep somebody showing up for work. And I don't quite get why we are so dedicated to that. There's certain things that a robot can do, and people shouldn't be doing repetitive work that can be done by robots. And what I tell people is, if you can take anything that you do, and put it into a series of steps, that's an equation. That is a robot. unless it's personalized, unless it's bespoke products, or you have to do fine motor skills, which even robots are starting to work on that fine motor skill process. You don't have to go and do it. You don't have to be the one that's sitting there doing it again and again. Automated stuff um, should be a robot. But there has to be a solution, right? So when robots are doing all of the work, what do the humans do? They should be going to school and getting retooled for either doing fundamental research or finding another gig that doesn't allow a robot to come in and take their place. Because eventually automation wins over human capital all the time. Why? Because robots don't get drunk, don't get stoned, they don't act dumb, they don't take breaks, they et cetera, et cetera. Everything that a human does, a robot doesn't. And a robot can be updated immediately. It can be retooled, over a weekend, maybe, even less usually. Countless things a robot benefits, automation benefits. We would have much less downtime if more companies used automation. Well, the cost is the main thing. But imagine all of the downtime because humans, the pandemic, for instance, supply chain issues across the board, production issues across the board, all kinds of stuff caused by humans not being able to be at their post. There's your reason for why this should be trillions, not billions in valuation. But what will humans do instead? How about get educated? How about work on hobbies? How about find something else? It's not that easy though, right, Merawatt? You can't just come up with something. You have to work really hard to find that something else. And that's why there's talk about basically a basic income being given to everybody so that they can live without having to go to a job, so to speak. Go and get educated, go do fundamental research to push the limits of something somewhere. It's a longer, more grandiose discussion than just, oh, don't worry about it. We we are going to eventually kind of price ourselves out because we are fallible and robots only fail because of weak engineering or poor programming. The ingest server again is breaking things, but I'm just going to continue on and I'll post this as the podcast and on YouTube. You can watch it later. I really don't know what the problem is because my bandwidth is perfect going out. But anyway, so the articles over at Business Insider, they've been pumping out a lot of articles lately that appeal to me in terms of talking about news. Bethany Byron is the author of this. The robot industry is now valued at 1.6 billion, and it really should be trillion. As employers around the country seek ways to fill labor gaps, many are increasingly turning to the assistance of automated technology and robots, which is basically automated technology. While pivoting to automation is certainly not a new phenomenon, it's basically a salve for companies struggling to meet the demand of a recent tight market. I don't think it's a salve. I think it's the cure. Robot orders increased 40% in the first quarter of 2022, and we're up 21% overall in 2021. According to the Association for Advancing Automation, driving the industry to an estimated value of $1.6 billion. People want to remove labor, Amatec Incorporated CEO David A. Zapico told Bloomberg in November, noting that the automatic equipment company had been firing on all cylinders to meet demand, and it will continue. It's really a matter of the very expensive effort of designing a robotic automated system to output something that had normally been done by humans. But when it comes to really fine motor skills, robots can't do it. They can do kind of blunt force, even microscopic actions, right? Automation can do that, but it's very simple activities compared to what we can do with our hands and what we can observe with our eyes. And everything has to be programmed to do an action, whereas humans can do things out of band. They can react to something that a robot would just kind of jam up on. So it says the robots are becoming easier to use. Michael Chico, I guess, Chief Executive Officer of industrial robot provider Fanuc America, told the Wall Street Journal companies used to think that automation was too hard or too expensive to implement. Now it's becoming cheaper because we're finding ways to facilitate it. And it's becoming the thing, right? The last 2.5 years would have been a whole lot more softer in its damage if things were already automated. People could have just stayed at home and wore a mask and got their vaccine and gotten a stipend that was produced because we tax billionaire businesses substantially more than what we do now. And the billionaires will still be billionaires, and people will. It's all about paying the people what they deserve. They wouldn't resign. They wouldn't walk out. They wouldn't quit, and billionaires would still be billionaires. And now we've been taught a lesson in business. You can automate, even take the financial hit, write it off, and you won't have to hire human beings. That right there is the lesson that we learned over the last 2.5 years. We can automate what normally had been done by humans. So I only have 2 more articles and then I'm done. The next article is in the Smack Talk channel, MacBook Air refresh with not M.2, but M2, which is the next generation M processor from Apple. Did I post this in there? No. So here it is in the chat. So Apple may introduce an updated MacBook Air at WWDC 2022, one that could be revealed as part of the launch of the M.2. Gosh, I keep saying M.2. M2 Apple Silicon generation. Apple's rumored to be close to launching its next generation Apple Silicon chips, with the M2 potentially being unveiled at WWDC. Let's click the link. I think this is over at Apple Insider, and it's written by Malcolm Owen. And yeah, it's inevitable. I mean, the M1 chip has been out for a year. M2s are going to be out shortly, and you kind of upgrade, new every 2 kind of a thing. So it says, according to Mark Gurman's Power On newsletter for Bloomberg, any hardware launches at WWDC will likely be on the Mac side. Apple is said to have been aiming to launch the next MacBook Air with M2 chips at the conference. Guess we'll see what happens. While the focus of Gurman's comment is the MacBook Air, there are reportedly at least 9 Macs in development using M2 generation chips. Guess I better sell mine. Thousands of holiday weekend flights canceled. This is over on the Mobile channel. More flights were canceled on Sunday, following thousands of other air travel cancellations and delays at the start of the busy Memorial Day weekend. It's here in the States. About 1,065 flights were canceled on Sunday, with 283 of those cancellations in the U.S., according to flight tracking website FlightAware. More than 7,000 other flights were delayed, including 1,109 in the U.S., and on Saturday, 1,500 flights were canceled. Everybody was warned on Friday that there would probably be 1,000 flights canceled each day going into summer. It's something that I spoke of a couple of days ago. So Delta Airlines canceled 148 flights on Sunday, or about 5% of its flights for the day. Yeah. Said bad weather and air traffic control issues. This is an article over at thehill.com by Brad Dress. And basically, I told you the nuts and bolts of it. This summer is expected to be busy travel season as Americans prepare to enjoy the lifting of restrictions and easing of cases from COVID-19, just in time to bring it all back, baby. Okay. Well, that's the end of today's show. It's really short. Um, and it's largely the news. Is there's a lot of news, but it's all about this horrible tragedy in Texas, and I just don't want to. I don't want to get into it. It's just sad state of affairs all around, and other things in politics. I just don't want to talk about it today. So, um, then I refresh at the end of the show, and I see a headline about Apple can't dismiss Cydia's amended antitrust lawsuit, and another nuclear plant closes. So get ready for electricity shortages. 21st century, folks. 21st century. Thanks for coming by. If you're in my chat, really appreciate it. I don't know if anybody's in my chat. Doesn't look like it. But thanks for coming. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.